Hey everyone, this is Disc Junkie and welcome to Chickenpox vlog day number 4. I'm coming to a point where sort of every day I do this, I know it's just the 4th time, but it's like, what am I gonna talk about? I mean, I want to do this because it gives me something to do while I'm quarantined, and also, it's fun to see sort of how things evolve, and it's gonna be nice to see in the long run for me the way it looked or something. Whatever. I might have not even do it the full period, I'm just doing it as long as I feel that it's interesting. But today I thought that I would stop talking about my blisters and stuff because there's really not a lot new going on from yesterday, blisters, and they're on me, and yeah. So thought I would mention to you some of the movies that I've been watching while I've been quarantined and sort of what I thought about them. And I just now finished watching Hannibal. I suppose it's the 3rd in the Hannibal Lecter trilogy, or quadrilogy actually. There's 4 movies now, I keep forgetting. But no matter which one it is in the sort of timeline, I watched Hannibal, and it's the first time I saw this movie, starring Anthony Hopkins, and Julianne Moore is doing the role of Agent Starling. She replaces Jodie Foster from the classic Silence of the Lambs. I like the Silence of the Lambs, and I also enjoyed Red Dragon very much. So I watched Hannibal, and I actually thought it was really good, and I think, everyone does really good performance, and, I mean, the first movie is classic. Silence of the Lambs, you can't really beat that, but I think that Julianne Moore did a really good job as Agent Starling, and, it didn't really bother me that they swapped the actors. They do that sometimes, and for what it's worth, I think she definitely does, as good a performance as she can, living up to, the previous role of Jodie Foster's. And what's interesting, when the credits started rolling for Hannibal, I noticed that one of the main characters, whose name is Mason Verger, he is this previous victim of Hannibal Lecter. His face has sort of been all scarred up and torn off and stuff, so he looks hideous. It's like sort of like this elephant man, like, very, very destroyed face. And it's a great performance, and the makeup is awesome. And I didn't really stop to think about who was playing this character. And then when they roll the credits, it turns out that it's fucking Gary Oldman. And I'm like, what? Thinking about, I didn't really recognize his voice, but, it's an awesome role, and, it looks... I mean, the makeup artist and the makeup effects, it's totally fucking sick. It's an awesome character. And, that's also one of the things I thought was really interesting about this. It's a very unusual story, you got like multiple bad guys, and everyone sort of got their own little angle in the scheme, and so, you're never really sure, where the danger is coming from. I mean, that Hannibal Lecter is around, but then there's also like these other little pawns and characters in the game who sort of working towards their own personal winning. And I mean, it's a very interesting, complex story, and there's a lot of people involved, and you're not really sure how it's gonna pan out. So I really did enjoy Hannibal. It was a very cool movie, and definitely not as I expected it. So if you haven't checked that movie out and you like the rest of the series, be sure to check this one out. And another film I've been watching during my quarantine time is a movie called Bunnyman, and this is sort of like a low-budget horror, which sort of rips off, or, it's inspired by movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like the original movie, and movies like Duel, a lot of similarities to that movie. And I very much enjoyed parts of this movie. I thought that the whole atmosphere was very good. They sort of go with this very much like Texas Chainsaw, very little music in the entire movie, and just a lot of these sort of strange background effects which sort of make up the musical landscape, but it's not really, typical scoring. But, in the end, it's not a movie I think I will rewatch, because basically it falls short for me due to sort of a very low production value. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like effects and stuff in terms of gore and stuff. There's not a lot of big gore scenes. They sort of do a lot of off-camera stuff, sort of the way the original Texas Chainsaw was shot, less is more. But the whole sort of, the main like title logo is crappy, and overall, it doesn't look as good as it should. It's sort of hard to describe, you just feel that it's the colors in the movie. It's like, it looks like a B movie, like a low production film, which is sort of what you know, that's the part that doesn't really work for me. And the characters, all unknown, and, you know, the acting is a little so-and-so. But if you like horror movies, I think you should give it a chance. I mean, especially if you don't mind sort of things maybe not looking like, you know, Hollywood stuff, I think that you should give it a chance. It's got like a guy in a bunny suit running around with a chainsaw. So yeah, I mean, for short, take Jewel, take the original Texas Chainsaw, lower the budget a whole bunch, and throw in a man in a bunny suit, and you know, you got Bunnyman. That's basically it. And I want to give a shout out actually to, I can never remember the name, Lost Pilgrims something something. I'll leave a link in the underbar. And it's basically a shout out for Chris and Dave over at Horror Happy Hour. If you haven't seen their reviews, just head on over to their channel, because they're just awesome people, and I always, you know, check out their reviews for some really interesting horror movie picks, and this was one of those movies which came from that source. But anyway, next up, a movie called Waltz with Bashir. And this is an animated movie which follows this guy who fought like in Lebanon, and he has trouble with remembering sort of his experiences in the war. And he is a movie maker, and in order to sort of recollect his own past in the war, which his mind has sort of, you know, is sort of blacked out and tried to avoid remembering those powers. So now he's trying to remember his sort of war days by going to visit all his old friends and trying to sort of make them tell their memories from that time. And, you know, in sort of hearing their stories, he figured that, you know, that might, you know, sort of spark something in his own memory and get him to remember what actually happened. I definitely recommend this movie. It was a very cool film, extremely well shot. It's like a combination of different types of animation, like classic versus digital, and it's blended so awesomely cool. Yeah, I don't know what to say, just a very unusual film, very unusual animation, so be sure to check out that movie, Waltz with Bashir. Really interesting movie if you're into animation and, you know, sort of different styles and techniques in that area. But anyway, that's it for Chickenpox vlog day number 4. Just coming in to give you some movie tips, because I'm not really sure what to talk about, and I figured, hey, let's mix things up and sort of, you know, give you something except for like all blisters. But obviously, you know, just for continuity's sake, I guess we should go in and check out my sort of classic blister on my throat here, wherever it is. Whoa, blurriness. Alright. So yeah, there we go. You know, basically not a lot going on here. They're drying up very nicely, got little crusts on them, so yeah. I don't really think you need to see much more, and yeah, thank you very much for stopping by, and I hope to see you all tomorrow for another non-scratching chickenpox vlog episode.